The other thing that I continue to eat up, despite the fact that I have never completed a Zelda game, is the sequel to Breath of the Wild, which we now, from this Nintendo Direct, we know what the actual name of the game is going to be. It's called Tears of the Kingdom, and if I recall correctly, it's going to be releasing on May 12th of 2023. The trailer they showed just continue to further highlight the things that I'm most excited about with regards to this game, namely the verticality of it. They seem to be taking what they did with Skyward Sword and allowing there to be a world in the sky and a world down below that you can travel to at will. So, like you actually see in the trailer, you see Link jump off of this floating rock in the sky. It looked like, what is it, Zeal from Chrono Trigger? And he jumps off of it, he falls through the clouds, and you can see the world below. And then at another point, you actually see him fall on top of like a glider, and then you could just fly around the world. This sounds awesome. The thing is, though, I had to find time between now and May to actually play the original Breath of the Wild, which I feel terrible for not having played, given how much everybody loves it.
I mean, if you play Tower Fantasy, Genshin Impact, you basically
played it.
Yeah, you basically played it.
Well, you know, the games that are close to Breath of the Wild that I've played, I've really, really enjoyed. And I feel like just based on how much people praise this game compared to all the other Zelda games that are beloved in the Zelda canon, I feel like I owe myself to play just at least a little bit of it before the new one comes out. Because it's like, if this game is as good, I'm talking about Tears of the Kingdom here. If Tears of the Kingdom looks and plays as good as it looks, if I try to play that and then go back to Breath of the Wild, it's going to be quite jarring, right? It's like going from Forbidden West Horizon to Horizon Zero Dawn. It's a little bit more difficult, right? But yeah, I love the trailer. I'm very excited about it. Syb, I don't know, like you just said that thing about Tower Fantasy. Did you watch the trailer? Does it move the needle in terms of your enthusiasm?
I mean, I grew up on Zelda,
right?
1 and especially 2. That was like my mainstay. One of my best memories from my childhood is sitting there watching an older friend and then my brother, who was older than me. They were trying to figure out how to beat this one portion of Zelda 1. And they had spent over an hour running around the map trying to figure out what this riddle was. Or it was sort of a riddle. They went into this one room, they needed to get past this guy. The only thing the guy would say is he would say, grumble, grumble, grumble. And they kept looking through their inventory, trying to figure it out. And I just was sitting there watching them. And they had like gotten to the point where they were like, the game's broken, the game's broken. And I said, why don't you feed him the drumstick? Like, because there was a drumstick. And it looked, they were like, that's a club. And I'm like, no, it looks like a chicken drumstick. And they're like, no, dummy, that's a club. And I'm like, whatever. So they tried it, and sure enough, he ate it and it opened the door. And they were like, "Oh my goodness, that's amazing!" And it's like one of the best like moments of like growing up with my brothers and friends and stuff like that I remember from like pre-10 basically. And it was cool, and that's what I loved about the world. So I'm definitely a huge Zelda fan. As far as this game goes, I want there to be... I would really like it if they added some more like versatility to the game. And specifically, I would really like to play Zelda, just because the game's named after her and you don't get to play her very often. And she is a really cool character. And I think that opening up some of the side characters is really what they need to do in face of things like Genshin Impact and Tower Fantasy, because and Blue Protocol and all these games that are coming out that have a similar style, a similar aesthetic, a similar look. It's like, open up more characters, open up more of that unique gameplay. Like, have some of these other characters come with completely different weapons that you've never tried before and that nobody else has tried before, and use that as a way of opening up the world even more. Link, of course, is a central pillar to that. And by adding other characters, you don't you don't make him less of the focus. You just opening up the world more.
It's not either or, it's both and.
Yeah, and there's so many unique, really cool characters that I think people would be far more willing to try and to pick up. And again, it's not about like replacing him. It's not that. It's that I think that with the technology that they have and with the capability that they have, they could probably open up more options for characters and therefore create a larger, more interesting world. And that's kind of like where I'm coming from, because I'm afraid that if they don't, that it's like, oh, plays the same Zelda with the same weapons and the same abilities and the same stuff for the 8th time now. It's like that's cool, but like
at some point you're going to have to evolve it.
Yeah, at some point you're going to have to evolve it just a little bit. I'm not talking about, again, it's like I'm not talking about a replacement. I'm just saying, like, hey, open up more options and evolve your story writing to be broader, to be as good as it has been, but more like options. And you could see where Mario really has excelled in that factor. And they've really taken off in that factor. And there's so many characters playable characters in the Mario universe that are so like key and cool. And I mean, one of the best examples of this is Yoshi. Mm-hmm. It's like Yoshi went from like this weird, this weird like tongue spitting mount to the hero of his own game or her game. I don't know if I think Yoshi is technically male, but I think their species does something weird or different with the eggs. But at any rate, that's besides the point. It's like you can create cool more characters that have a greater impact in the playable world and allow you to affect things and play things and experience things at a deeper level. And that's what I really want, because they do have very stiff competition now. Genshin Impact has started out as a clone of Zelda and has managed to find its own footing. It's a gacha game, so it sucks, right? Same with Tower Fantasy. They started out as a clone of Genshin, and the 2.2 release has come out and really shown that it's become its own thing, and it's become more unique in what it is doing for itself. And that's great. But looking back at the original, so to speak, they have got to learn how to open that world up more, and they've got to learn how to evolve themselves. Otherwise, they risk becoming kind of this like repetitive thing. And I don't think it's repetitive, and I think they're getting better. But there's a lot of options and pathways open, and there's a lot of demand for it. And it's like experiment with it, because it's not about replacing. It's about showcasing more of the world, and you can do stuff. You do way more stuff with more of those characters in that world. So yeah, that and can you please release your damn games on Steam? Like I mean, seriously, Nintendo. This is another story that kind of happened earlier in the week. Is like there are people who are begging Nintendo now, with them closing out one of their previous stores, where it's like, hi, I would like to buy this game. I'm sorry, we don't sell this game anymore. Okay, great. Can I buy it for, because you're not selling it for that platform anymore, can I buy it for this new platform that you have? No, we have no plans to release this on our current platform. Okay, can you release it somewhere else? I mean, this isn't like this is impossible to do. I mean, there's emulators out there that do this right now. Can you just let me please give you money to allow me to play this thing that I love? No, we're really not interested in that. And if you mention that, you want to play this, away from our systems, then, we're going to have to come after you with lawyers. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Side.
Aren't you having a cash crunch?
Side, we do this every month.
I know. So dumb.
I know. I agree. But you know what you can do? Well, actually, I won't say it out loud because I am afraid of the lawyers. I'll just re-emphasize the word emulation, and then we'll just move on from that. The question is for you guys, though, what sort of stood out to you from the Nintendo Direct or the State of Play this past week? Was it Rise of the Ronin, Legend of Zelda, or was it something else? Leave us all of your thoughts in the comment section below.